Welcome, wonderful listeners, to the Shadow and Starlight Podcast, where two friends deep dive into popular fantasy and romantasy books. We get into the stories, characters, world building, lore, and so much more.
So buckle your seatbelts for this wild roller coaster ride of emotions, magical worlds, and laughs. I'm Kinsey.
I'm Kana.
And today we're discussing our initial reactions to Onyx Storm after devouring it for the last 5 days. For me, the last 20 freaking hours. So I'm like ready. I'm ready for it.
Seriously. Well, first and foremost, please listen carefully to our content warning. These are adult books we're talking about, and neither of us have a filter, so this podcast is rated R and for those 18 plus. Regarding spoilers, if you have not finished the entire Onyx Storm book, please come back later.
Next, if you like what you hear today and want more, please come back this Thursday, technically, for our deep dive. As a Taller podcast, we love to hear your feedback to better ourselves and expand our book-loving community. Please feel free to leave us reviews, reach out to us on social media, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and watch us on YouTube at Shadow and Starlight Pod.
Today we have a very special guest, Maddie Mooregan. Woo! She is an actor, voiceover artist, producer, editor, creative director, coordinator, and general rock star. Holy crap. We originally came across her on TikTok because she is actually remaking the audiobooks for Fourth Wing, and spoiler alert, they are amazing. So welcome, Maddie. We're so happy you could join us today.
Woo!
Thrilled to be here. Thanks so much, y'all. Happy podcast.
Yeah, we're going to get into it later, but do you want to tell us a little bit about your audiobook project and what inspired it?
Yeah, for sure. So it's called Fourth Wing, Maddie's version. If you YouTube search that, it's all one playlist. Basically, I finished Iron Flame and then haven't resurfaced and have been spending the last year basically of my life going chapter by chapter and recording. I play Violet and narrate, but then I have a lot of my other voiceover actor friends cast as the other parts. And then I kind of take the words into my own hands. It's similar. It's almost word perfect at the beginning, but as really I get to say, as Violet learns to think for herself, I go off the page, but I'm just getting better at it. But it's less of an audiobook and more I am forcing everyone I know to play Fourth Wing with me.
Nice. I love that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. But it's all canon accurate storytelling, chapter by chapter. There's more dick jokes and Taylor Swift lyrics on purpose.
Oh my God. More dick jokes? Riddick would love that.
Yes, he would. He would definitely love that.
My king.
I love him so much. Okay, drink of the pod. This is something we do, and I actually don't have a drink today, so.
Oh my gosh.
Crap.
Where's your drink?
I forgot to get one before we started, so yeah.
I just got water.
Oh my God, are you drinking wine?
Yeah, I'm ready. I have limeade just out of frame if that's more palatable.
Oh no, that's fine. We drink margaritas on this podcast.
No, yes, we do.
I'm just basic today and I got some water because I need water. I haven't consumed water in the past 24 hours. So
been thriving on caffeine drinks. Okay, 3 days until our first deep dive of Onyx Storms. Thursday, our very first deep dive is going to be coming out, and we're going to go over chapters 1 through 11. So if you want to do a little reread before you listen to our episode, go ahead and do that, and then we hope you join us for that deep dive. And then on Thursday as well, we're going to be announcing our next deep dive, and we have narrowed it down to 2. So we're either going to do Anathema by Carrie Lake or Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. And we want some input from you guys. So reach out, let us know which one you would rather have us cover. Or if you want to suggest another one, we're here for that too. So let us know.
yes. All right. Now it's time to get into it. Let's discuss. Are we calling this the parapet? Our reactions take you through this parapet of emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. A lot of emotions.
So we're just going to ask a couple questions, and I guess we are all going to just answer them with our initial reactions of the book.
Yeah. So first question, how many stars would you give this book? Do you like it more or less than the first 2?
I don't think I've let it marinate enough to give it a set rating, but off of rip, off my initial reaction, probably 4.25. Very specific. Do I like it more than the first 2 books?
That is very specific.
I don't know. That's a very hard question. Because again, I don't know. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did. Do I like it more than the first? I feel like the first book is always going to have my heart. It's when I first fell in love with Zayden Ryerson.
Just a moment for Zayden Ryerson.
Just a moment for Zayden Ryerson.
I will say this was definitely my favorite book of the 3. But I think that's because I love reading about political intrigue and just the war. I was so much looking forward to actually getting into a war scene where she had go find allies and really get into battle. So 1,000,000 stars for me.
Nice.
I can't think of anything I really didn't like other than we didn't get as many answers as I thought we would have, but that's okay. I feel like I laughed so much more than I did the first two books, and I also didn't cry as much as the first two books, so I'm going to call that a win. And I also just fell in love with every single character even more, especially Riddick. I'm going to get to him.
Yes.
But I love you. What about you, Maddie?
I'm like, how many stars are we allowed to give? Because I'm fucking obsessed with this book.
Gotcha.
Like, I think the third one, I totally agree with you, Kenzie. Fourth Wing is like the one that captured and hypnotized me and like has had me in a chokehold since. But Onyx Storm is so great because the world just gets so much bigger. Every time I thought like I had a theory, Onyx Storm would take it and be like, hey, so you're completely wrong about most shit. But this one thing, like, yeah, you kind of were onto something there, but that's like the tiniest little piece of the puzzle because the red string is already behind you. It feels like she's really mapped out the story and you can tell she knows how it ends. And she's just like filling us in and letting us figure it out. I just thought like the world building, the character development, the writing was so great. I mean, she's just so good at like getting you in Violet's head and making your heart pound.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
She's just so fucking good at it.
I think her writing was definitely the best in this book out of the other two. Whether you're attached to the characters or the plot or whatever in the other books, I feel like, at least for me, I think her writing was very, very good, which I love her writing anyways, but it was amazing.
Yeah. I agree with, you can definitely tell in the writing that she knows how it's going to end. She's very intentional with like what she writes. So yeah, it was definitely an adventure. I did love the adventure aspect for it, but I'm like an OG, like for me, like every series is the first book for me. I don't know, it's what really pulled my heartstrings, but yeah.
No, that's fair. And Fourth Wing has such a specific like aesthetic, such a specific dark academia vibe that it's felt like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban since the first book. Like it's been dark and stormy since. But like but I feel like then Onyx Storm kind of takes it into like, it's almost giving like Throne of Glass a little bit. If it was like one POV, just like in the politics, in the war, in the alliances, in the armies, like, I don't know. I understand the map now.
Yes, same. Yes. Throne of Glass is my favorite book series ever. So I think you just explained to me why I love this book so much. So thank you.
Oh, cool. I might not be right. That's just a theory.
I definitely love Throne of Glass because I feel like I prefer more of like the truest fantasy elements more than the romance, and Kenzie's more of the romance girly. Not that I don't love a good romance plot as well, but I loved Throne of Glass because of all like the battle and like how things all connected together at the end, and it was just so action packed and exciting. And I think that's why I love this book so much.
Yeah, I don't know how I would even think about Throne of Glass, so because I'm struggling to get through it. I'm stuck on Air of Fire, but only because, like Hannah said, I'm like a romance fanatic. And though Fourth Wing, well, the Empyrean series is really good, like it could still have a really strong plot without the romance in it. I don't know what it is about Throne of Glass, but I can't read it without the romance.
I mean, we love the smut. Like, we love the smut. Like, yes. That's, like, it's great when it has a plot. That's why Fourth Wing is so great, because it has a great plot and it's hot as fuck. Like, the girls are horny. Like, period. I'm sorry. It's just, I love the smut. I think it's totally fair. A lot of people that are like, it's like book porn or whatever. Your body, your choice for sure. But if you don't want to read that, you don't have to read that.
No. Yeah, but don't shame me for liking it.
The romance in the smut is like one of my favorite. Like, I used to write fan fiction smut. Like, I'm always here for a good romance.
I used to read fan fiction smut when I was probably too young to.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen a dick. Was writing really detailed stuff.
I love that.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. Did you ever like go back and read it at a older age and you're like, whoa?
I've been too scared. I should do that though. That's hilarious.
I feel like that would be top tier cringiness.
I know, I'm a little afraid.
But in an entertaining way. All right, next question. What was your first reaction after finishing Onyx Storm? And is there any particular moment in the last epic battle that's really stood out to you?
My first reaction was like, what the hell actually just happened? I felt like Violet waking up Because for me, I sat there for 12 hours and binged it. I felt like Violet at the end of the book waking up and like, what the heck just happened? Like, I don't know what just happened the last past 12 hours. I don't understand. So yeah, that was my initial reaction. I was like, what did I just read? Like, it was so good. And I got to the end and I was like, what the hell? Like, I was not expecting this. Where are my answers? I don't have the answers. What's happening?
Yeah, I had the exact same reaction where I just sat the book down and I just sat there in silence for a second. And I was like, what the actual fuck just happened? And then I was like, hold on, let me just have a moment of like gratefulness because no one died that I was like super, super attached to. So I was like, okay, thank you, Rebecca. I was expecting one of the Iron Squad to die or like Mira to die, which thank goodness she didn't.
I thought Imogen was toast. I was like, Imogen's fucked.
Yeah.
I would be really sad if she died. I didn't even realize it until Quinn died. I was like, Imogen, no, you can't.
Right.
But honestly, like days later, I feel like I still haven't processed the ending. I definitely need to go back and reread the whole end battle and stuff like that. I feel like the stuff that really stands out to me. So Arik, I can't stop thinking about his signet because wow, that's gonna have so many implications. And the fact that signets develop over time, I'm wondering how powerful his precognition is gonna be. And then also, obviously, I'm like, okay, Miss Ma'am is the Duchess of Tyrrendor. Okay, what? And then also, I swear to God, Brennan, I do not trust you. That's also one of the biggest things on my mind after the end because I feel like there was a lot of little things in there where I was like, okay, my suspicion continues to build for Brennan. I don't know what you think about Brennan, but I've been talking about him on the podcast where I think he's a traitor or he's lying about something.
Yeah, I totally see the case for Brennan being sus. I can't make up my mind about it. I think there are a lot of characters that are like somewhat compromised with their loyalties one way or the other. There are very few like staunch loyalists who like, I think Violet's the only one out of all of them that has no desire whatsoever to even think about turning Venin. She's never even like considered it. Whereas I feel like now that people know, it's right there. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
I've actually hopped on the Brennan traitor train, kind of. Only because
finally
in the last chapter, Andorna was like, I will not let him burn you. And
burn you.
And she was like, why would my brother burn me? And I was like, kinda.
Well, also when Sloane was siphoning Dane for Brennan, then Violet remarked, she was like, they don't have scars like Brennan has on his palm from what happened with Naolan. I was like, okay, suspicious.
So I actually have a theory about that, if we could like detour for a second.
Yes. Detour. We're going to detour constantly, so just go ahead.
Incredible. Okay. So I have a lot of theories, one of them being that resurrection is like a key component to the Venin and their strategy. We know Wyvern are created, and at the 75%, 80% of the way through Iron Flame, Violet and Mira with a rune like accidentally reanimate a dead Wyvern, and then Violet's immediately like zap, and then it's and like shoots in the head immediately. But they're like, oh, holy shit. And so I think something to do with having a hive mind and the way that like it's discussed how the Venin sages and mavens can like control people and their actions, like control the lower level initiates and stuff. I feel like resurrection runes, I feel like Brennan was saved when Naolan turned Venin to save him. But in doing that, Naolan like did the resurrection rune on him. Like, I think that's how Brennan came back to life. I think that's how Jack Barlow came back to life. Also, I think the Venin infantry is like collected by resurrected cadets who fall off the parapet. And like all the fallen Dragon Rider cadets are Wyvern Riders.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Yeah, I've got plans up here.
Oh my God.
I'm probably completely off,
I
but
mean,
I just feel like there's so
What if
much.
you're not though?
Yeah, I think you're onto something, because that would give them a reason to turn, them failing to cross the parapet and not being able to get inside the War College and Blind Dragon and access that magic. And it produces numbers too, because a lot of them die.
Yeah, so I think like they fall into the ravine and then their bodies are collected, resurrected, and then like conscripted. But you have to have like their bodies, right? Like you have to have a part of them to resurrect them. This is insane of me. According to the Dragon Riders Codex, Article 3, subsection 6, addendum B, a rider can only carry to the quadrant the item, like they can only, I don't know the actual words, but it's like
Oh my God.
anything a rider carries across the parapet is like considered a part of their person, like a part of their body. Like that's how Violet gets up the gauntlet and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in order to resurrect somebody, you have to have a piece of them. But according to the Codex, that could be anything they bring into the quadrant or fall off the parapet with. And that's why you're supposed to burn all of cadets' shit when they die, so that them and their possessions can't be used to resurrect them as Venom.
Girl, I think you're onto something. This makes like way too much sense, and I'm like mad I've never thought about this before.
No, for real.
No, don't be.
It's so interesting. I've always had a theory that resurrection was going to be key to curing Xaden. Like he was going to have to die and be resurrected to get his soul back.
Ooh.
But now after reading Onyx Storm, I'm kind of thinking, Kenzie sent me a picture too, like he could be dedicated to one of the gods to like restore his soul. And so now I'm thinking that's the way to cure him, but I still think resurrection is going to play a part in the story. I feel like it's been hinted at so many times, like Brennan was resurrected, Jack Barlow was resurrected. It makes a lot of sense that it would be connected to the Venom in that way. So I like that theory. I like it a lot.
That's my theory. Also, we went to a bunch of islands that were named after gods, and we never went to Malik Island, did we?
No, but there's the Bay of Malik on the map. It's right next to the Barrens.
Okay.
Suspicious.
Interesting.
It's right next to the Barrens, huh?
Like where all the Venom drained the land. So I don't know.
Okay, I do have a moment that like stood out to me, and that was Sigale swooping in and saving Violet at like the end, like picking her up.
Yes.
Like Sigale and Violet like only interact when it's necessary, but they ride for each other so fucking hard. I love it. They're just there. They're just there.
I was so sad we didn't get to see more of like Sigale's voice lines in this book, because that's something we got a little more of in Iron Flame, and I just loved her so much. I mean, she was there, but we didn't really get their interactions.
She's not speaking to anyone.
Yeah.
Neither is Indarna.
Silent treatment.
Well, Sigale is low-key salty, so I'm not surprised she wasn't a big part of this book, because her and Xaden were kind of like in outs about the whole Venom thing.
They've been beefing the whole book. Like Sigale wasn't even talking to him.
I think it's more of Xaden and his pride, though. I think it's because like he hurt her. Aside from him putting Violet before himself and always wanting to save Violet, it's always been Sigale second. Like he's always in battle. You've seen him like how tormented he is if she gets hurt, and how he like changes his course to save his dragon. So we know that Xaden, like he loves very hard, and he always feels guilt like if he does something like that affects Violet. And I think that he felt the same way throughout this book when he turned Venom, and Sigale kind of, I don't know. I know that there was a shift, and I think that he felt like he hurt Sigale. And I think that's probably why he was holding back on their bond, because he felt regret and guilt for being Venom.
That's very Xaden too.
It is very Xaden.
To be like, I'm sure you're mad at me. I'll make myself scarce.
Seriously. Their beef this whole book made their conversation at the end, like before we get to the 12 hours of who knows what happened. Oh my God, it was so confusing, like even more confusing, because like they've been beefing and now they're having this conversation. I was just like, what is happening? Like, does Sigale like him again? Like, what does she see?
At the very, very end.
Yeah,
that's like, it's after the battle, after he goes full Venom.
Yeah.
Well,
she's like, what is there left of you to forsake? And he lets her in his brain, and he's like, you tell me. And then she's like, you cannot mean to. And he cuts him off and says, you saw it happen. It's the only way. And so I'm like, what? What is happening here? I don't know.
I think it's, you cannot mean to marry her to keep this bullshit legitimate. Like, that's what you're gonna do right now? Like, go get married to Violet right now? Maybe? She's like, Violet's not gonna say yes, you crazy bitch.
So I actually saw a theory. I went immediately to TikTok after I finished the book. I had to find out who it is, so we can put it in the description. But she was saying that she thinks that Xaden asked Sigale to sever the main bond between her and Taryn because he had to run away. And it wasn't going to be possible if they were linked to each other, because they were going to try to kill Xaden, because everybody knows that he's Venom now because of him literally wielding dark magic on the battlefield. So he had to leave, and they will only suffer, him and his dragon and her will only suffer if they were tethered to each other. So he married her to leave her Tyrandor, and Sigil might have severed the mating bond between her and Tyrion, and that's why Tyrion was in such a deep sleep at the end of the book, because he was still recovering from the bond.
Oh, because he's recovering.
Mm-hmm. That's what I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I feel like Taryn would never, but why does that make sense?
It does, because if he leaves to go do whatever he's doing, him and Sigil can't be apart that long. And also, Violet and Xaden are tethered to each other. So without that mating bond, I don't think they can be connected. So I think he only did what's necessary. What is her name?
God, I was thinking he was going to leave Sigil behind. If he takes her with her, that would make sense.
Novels with Anna is her name.
Wow.
That's a lot to process.
That's very wise of them.
Yeah.
Very wise. It would be most wise of them to have done that.
Because at the end, she's reaching for him, and she said, like, there was nothing when she reached for Xaden. And I don't think it's because he was venting. I think it's because he was gone.
I think, like, mating bonds, that shit is, like, that goes beyond magic. Like, that can't be severed. That's the course of how things go.
But
like, you can't do that.
I also think that when Sigil asked Xaden, do you think she'll help? I think she was talking about Andarna, because Andarna has a way with severing bonds. And we learned that when she left
Oh my
Erasure.
God, Mackenzie.
So I think that they were talking about Andarna in that scene.
But like, can she put it back though? Like,
I
when
think
they're
she
all
can,
back
because she
together as
came
a happy
back.
family? Yeah. Let's hope and pray. I don't like that information's in my brain now, but
I know, it makes too much sense. And we know it, and it's gonna be okay. That's the other thing. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's not gonna look like how we thought it was gonna look. But if we stay true to ourselves and follow our hearts, like, we can save the continent, guys.
Yes.
Yes. Save Amaryllis. What is it called?
First things first, Amaryllis.
I love that. I love that, because that's going to definitely help you remember that.
I'm dead.
That popped into my brain and hasn't left. I need to, like, make a TikTok about it or something.
We'll repost it immediately.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Who is your favorite character to follow in this book, and why? Maddie, do you want to kick us off on this question?
This is Riddick's book, no question.
Yes.
This is Riddick's
For
book.
sure.
Yes,
For
it is.
sure.
Is that what we all said?
Yeah.
We're there with you. 100%
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
He carried this book.
I laughed out loud when he was like, I want a fucking patch for this shit,
Yes.
Violet.
Yes. He's like, you hear me?
She's like, please be cool and keep all the secrets. And he's like, are you like, I better get a patch for this.
Yes.
Quest
Obsessed.
Squad. It's
Yes.
stuck. It's stuck.
I think we should all refer to Riddick now as Riddick Riz Master.
Yes.
Riddick Riz Master.
Love that.
Yes.
For sure.
He had insane game with that flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Like, good thing I fuck like a 30 or something like that. I was like, okay.
I went to see Rebecca Yaros do the Onyx Storm tour in New York last night. So I'm like fresh off of that. And someone asked, like, what's your favorite Riddick moment, like, throughout the whole series? Like, what's the funniest thing he's ever done for you? And she was like, oh, I don't do second years. Good thing I fuck like a third. She's like, I've had that in my mind since, like, the beginning.
Oh my God.
Love that. Love that.
She finally deployed it, and it hit.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Was it so amazing to see her live?
Yeah. Like, she's just a genius. And seems just like a kind person. I just think the world she built and the community she's built is huge. And she talked a lot about how it's like overwhelming, but oh man, never have I ever been happier. I went by myself.
Oh, nice.
Like, I just straight up went. I was in the 6th row. It was really cool.
I agree with you. Riddick the Riz Master, as Kana says. I know that Riddick was one of Kana's favorite characters last book. And I think he was a little bit lower on my list than Kana's. But this book, he crawled his way up there. And I love that he was like such a main character in this book, and he was with Violet the whole way, because his comedic additions were like needed. I love the scene when they're in the kitchen and the cook tries to stab him in the side and he's just like loses his cool.
I have one flight jacket and I'm gonna put my quest patch on it. I feel like all of the Iron Squad is gonna make it to graduation.
They have to.
And then one of them is gonna die. Or like one of them's gonna die right before graduation. That's what I'm expecting from this bitch, Rebecca Yarros.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, after what she did with Liam, we really can't trust her. So
Fun facts about Liam from last night. His name originally was gonna be Leith, like Keith with an L.
No, I'm glad it was Liam.
Ugh.
I'm glad it was Liam.
Yo, that's terrible.
She said it, and the whole audience was like, ugh.
I know.
And she was like, oh, gods, like, my bad.
He's supposed to be so hot. It's like Leith. Like
Leith.
You sound like Leith.
Honestly, I feel like if we did not have Liam in our minds, we probably would have still found it hot. I would have still found him super hot. As Leith.
Probably.
Yeah, we definitely would have gotten over it, but it's just weird to think about.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah.
My favorite character to follow was obviously Riddick, so I think we're all agreed here. But I do want to give Violet a moment because, wow, she was just going to these aisles, just fucking shit up, like taking everybody down. And all the battle scenes, she was so much more confident than she has been in the past. And I loved seeing all of her skills develop and come into play. And how she like stood up to Colonel Atos, General Atos. I hate you. But she was such a badass in this book. So other than Riddick, she was definitely my favorite character to follow.
Yeah, she was lethal. I was actually scared. I was like, who is she?
I literally don't have words for the character of Violet. I don't know. She's too relatable. She's too aspirational. She's too like, wow, that's how I feel like I would handle myself in a crisis. Like, I show up to the war scene. I'm not surviving hand-to-hand combat. Like, no.
Honestly,
but wait, I can just like think my way around it. Like, I might stand a chance. Yeah. She's real for that.
I think that it's cool that throughout this whole series, everybody has always tethered her with Xaden, and they've always put their signets together and talked about how they're the most powerful together. But I like how this book, she kind of proved that she doesn't need Xaden to be as powerful as she is, and that she's her own like person, and she can be just as powerful without him. Because a lot of the times, Xaden wasn't there to save her, or she had to talk Xaden down from certain things, which I'll talk about that later, and she was able to take the light. I feel like that was really cool that she got to stand on her own and have her own voice this book.
Yeah, she definitely is, like you were saying, so relatable. I feel like I read a bunch of other fantasy books in between Empyrean, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this FMC, she's so cool. And then I come back to Violet, and I'm like, oh my god, why are you my favorite?
She's hilarious.
She is.
And she's so like unflappable. Like, she's indestructible. Like, you change her mind, you can't unless you have factual information, evidence, and a good vibe. She's the best. She's the one.
She represents all of us nerd girlies. She represents us well because she was a bookworm. She is a bookworm, and she also got there and bonded a dragon, 2 dragons.
Period.
Yes.
Yeah. Did y'all read the dedication at the very beginning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So
I love it.
It's like exactly like what you just said. It's to the ones that don't run with the popular crowd, the ones who get caught reading under their desks, the ones who feel like they never get invited, included, or represented. Get your leathers. We have dragons to ride.
Yes, I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I teared up, and then I was like, cool, time to start reading this book.
That's my exact reaction.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, so sweet. Okay, let's get to it. All right, so since we get to travel to so many new places in Onyx Storm, what aspects of the new world building intrigued you the most? And if you could visit any of the Isle Kingdoms, which one would you go to? And I know for me, I want to go to the Zanal Island. Don't even remember what it was called, because I want to take my chances at getting a broccoli.
The claw.
I will risk the arrow to get the
claw.
I
was like, what if you get the arrow to the heart and don't even get the cat?
I mean, with my luck, that would probably happen. But anyways, I just love cats.
And you're dead and you don't care.
Yeah, at least I tried. Yeah. Well, on a real note, I probably wouldn't go there if I'm being realistic, but I do love cats. I think Deverelli was really like the aesthetics of it when they got to like go and explore, and like the waters were like a turquoise blue. I was just like eating that shit up when she was describing what it was like. So I would probably want to visit there. But I loved all the new world building. So cool.
That was my answer too. Deverelli sounds banging. She talked last night about how it's based off of the Turks and Caicos. Like, she like went there in between writing Onyx Storm and Iron Flame to like reset herself and like actually take time off. And she like, it's the best. And I'm like, yeah, it shows.
Now I need to go to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, but Deverelli sounds like the place to be, because also I know we're supposed to hate them, but the White Panthers,
I mean, it's a cat.
the way I want them, like what I wouldn't give to be like lounging on a throne in the open beach and then just be like, oh, my kitties.
Talk about aura.
The head was a lot.
Oh my gosh, the scene where they're with Zayden's mom and like they bring the food out on the same kind of platters and Violet's like, please don't be a hit, please don't be a hit, please don't be a hit.
PTSD.
What about you, Kenzie?
I think my favorite place was, I forgot what it's called already, but where Zayden's mom was. Where is it called?
Adonis?
Yes,
maybe.
That place. I think I just had the most fun there. I loved all the tea, all the drama. I'm very toxic. I loved that his mom was there, and I like her just having a whole new family. And the whole time I was just talking shit about her in my head the whole time, because I listened to some of the book and I was like going back and forth today, and I was listening to it, and Violet was like, and Zayden was like, you would want me to go talk to her. I was like, no, fuck her. Like she left you and she started a family, and I was just like going off. And Violet showed her true like strength that scene when she poisoned them. I was like, oh my god,
that was crazy.
That was crazy.
She said Uno reverse.
That was so fun to read. That was so fun. I loved it.
I know. I love her. And fuck Talia.
She was trying to like make excuses. I was like, girl, don't even.
Upsetting.
He's like, but you left me, and she's like, I didn't have a choice. I'm like, you did. You left your son.
Yeah, you did.
You literally did. You're leaving Navarre anyway. Like, take the kid, commit treason. Oh well.
Right.
I was actually really happy when she came on the page because it validated me, because I had a theory that they were going to go to the Isle Kingdoms and find his mom, and I was like, oh my god, I was right. And then I was like, oh shit, this is going to be really bad.
How about his favorite food still being chocolate cake and it being the last thing
he was about to eat it too.
He was about to eat it.
She left him on his birthday.
Like, that
like,
was so ironic.
Pick a worse time to leave.
Violet also ate in that scene.
Okay.
She's like, don't eat the cake.
Yes.
I laughed out loud when she was like, Zayden, don't. Hey, like, Riddick, don't. Mira, don't. And she's like, cool. And Garrick's like, this is so good.
Like, oh my gosh, it's good.
Just stay home.
I'm like, why couldn't Dane eat the cake though?
I'm not team Dane, but I'm not team fuck Dane anymore.
Kenzie. I've like forgiven him. I think he's on a redemption arc, especially after reading everything in this book. I'm like, all right, we're cool again.
Can I tell you
Unless
guys
do
something?
that pissed me off.
I actually forgave him this book. I think I'm growing. I don't want to talk about it.
Wow.
This is much.
That is a lot from you.
That is as much of an admission as you guys want to get. Okay, moving on. I'm not talking about him anymore.
Okay.
That's entirely valid. I feel like Dane is like one of those characters that he like isn't evil, because like the second he learned the truth, he stabbed Varish about it.
Yeah.
Like he fully switched sides and went full rebel, traitor, murderer.
Yeah.
Because the whole time it's just been propaganda. And like, we have to forgive Dane because that's how we forgive Violet. I just recorded chapter 21 where Liam is telling her like, hey, both of my parents were executed by the state at your mother's command. And she's like, that is not what the library said. So don't tell me, because you were there. You should know you were a witness.
Yeah.
And then it's like, girl, reading that out loud, it was really difficult because I was like, it's a bad look for our girl. She's like, oh my God, did you just call it the apostasy? Like, we have to forgive Dane because like Violet's much the same. As soon as she learned the truth, she was like, well, that changes things.
Yeah.
And Dane was just, he needed to be deprogrammed a little bit more.
Dane hurt me a lot.
Well, considering
it took a while for that to sink in. So like the only thing that really made it shift for me was when his father disowned him. So I don't know if you know this, Maddie, but my favorite like childhood movie was How to Train Your Dragon. I love How to Train Your Dragon, and even to this day, when I watch that movie and his father disowns him, I bawl my eyes out every single time. Never fails. And so that just brought back like that feeling I had with How to Train Your Dragon when his father is like, I don't have a son. I was like, oh, I kind of feel bad for you now. Like you're an orphan.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Okay, next question. What was the most heart-wrenching moment of the book for you? I know for me, it was probably when Andarna left. That's when I actually cried the hardest because her bond with Violet has been so like cool to watch them grow together, and I feel like they understand each other in a way that Taryn maybe doesn't. And I was like, holy crap. I went back and read that chapter again. I was like, there's no way. Like, she wouldn't leave Violet.
Without saying goodbye too.
Right.
Like, she's like, I wouldn't know how to,
God.
And then she's like, that's a dragon noise, by the way.
That was really good. You should make the dragon noises for your audiobook because that was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So that, and then when Mira got her throat slit and I was pretty sure she was going to die, I also started bawling again. But thankfully, our girl's alive.
That was intense.
What about you, Kenz?
I feel like mine would be also Andarna's scene. Like, just the struggle that she went through, because you can see how bad she really wanted it. But, like, how it would kill her to leave Violet. But I don't know. I was kind of questioning Andarna's, I'm not going to say loyalty, but I was kind of questioning how far her curiosity would run throughout the whole book. They're trying to find her at the end, but it's like, what all can they learn with Andarna being with Violet the whole time? And they have to go back to Erasure or Basgaio. So I kind of figured maybe they had to be separated at some point. But like seeing her internal turmoil throughout the whole thing, and I don't know. That was one of the scenes I remember like just bawling my eyes out. I was like, oh my gosh.
And Violet's depression after just made me like continue crying.
Yeah.
What about you, Maddie?
I'm very much the same. I cried the most when Andarna left, especially because they didn't get to say goodbye. I'm not doing a dragon noise again, but like, like she roared and then just flew away. Like there wasn't even like a last, I don't know. And obviously there's no way she's gone forever, but like it felt like she was gone forever. And
I thought we weren't going to see her until book 4. It was stressing.
Ooh, that would have sucked. I'm glad that she came back in the nick of time to crush it in the 11th hour. And I also really, really was a heart-wrenching moment for me. I didn't even like really give a shit about Quinn and wept.
Yeah. Like it was brutal. I just cried for Imogen because that was like her one like really tight girlfriend.
And I loved Imogen's POV. It was so like take no shit, like badass bitch. She was so cool. That scene with her and Dane like running together, I don't know why that stuck out to me, but I was like, wow, Imogen and Dane are on like the opposite ends of the spectrum in the beginning of the first book. And like now they're running side by side as allies. And she's like, hope he makes it. Like growth.
Yes.
That never would have happened
for both of them. For both of them, because Dane was such a like relic hater. I do remember the other scene that I bawled my eyes out, Kana. I was trying to figure this out earlier. It was like way in the beginning when Violet first meets Theophany, however you say her name, and I thought that Taryn was gonna die because the tornado, and he like went unconscious, and she was like, I can't feel him. And I just started bawling. Like, I was like, ain't no way he's dead. But I'm like crying anyways because no way this is going to happen.
My stomach dropped. I was like, what the fuck? And Darna being like, I can't feel him. I was like, that's a wrap.
I was like, you're lying. You're lying. What's going on? No.
I was like, no way Rebecca has the audacity to kill our favorite dragon. Like, not even 100 pages
Absolutely
in.
not.
No.
And then Violet's like, are you okay? And he's like, I still breathe. He was so arrogant about the whole thing. Like he didn't just get knocked out. Like he didn't just get knocked out. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. What do you mean? I'm Taryn. What do you mean? Am I fine?
Like the amount of times where he was trying to recite his whole family line and Violet was just like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, I've heard this before.
Yeah, there's this one where he's like, we are the most cunning, the most splendiferous, like just starts pontificating and she's like, shut the fuck up. And like literally shields him out.
Okay, were there any elements of the story that were totally unexpected, out of left field for you? Maddie, do you want to start us off on this question?
Yeah. There's a couple things. The main thing being that it's Bridgerton now, and like I'm kind of obsessed with it. Okay. I was not expecting us to go into like dukedoms and secret marriages and heirs, and I knew there was like kind of some of that energy in Iron Flame with Kat and like the Tyrandor alliance with Peromiel. Like I feel like there's a lot of really fun, hot, sexy stuff incoming,
Yeah.
like Bridgerton style. Because, like, another thing is, I think our girl Violet is pregnant.
Yes.
Girl,
Yes.
I saw a theory on TikTok and I was like, oh my God.
Well, yeah, it's like they went to Devarelli and they're like, no, magic works here, so we can fuck here. And I'm like, then your magical birth control doesn't fucking work there.
Yeah.
We're not even going to consider this.
Didn't really think that out.
Yeah.
Breaking Dawn, Isle Esme ass. Like,
I think the
Oh my
same
God.
because the whole book they were talking about heirs and leaving a legacy, and the whole scene where they're like with his mom and she's like, "Oh, y'all can just break up for 3 years and you and Kat can get together. Y'all can have an heir to the throne."
that was
And
That was wild.
yeah, and then y'all can get back together afterwards because he's been trying to leave the throne to Bodhi if he dies, but Bodhi doesn't want that role. They're gonna have a baby, I think so.
I think Auric like precogged that Violet was pregnant with the heir to the Tirish throne and was like, hey, Violet and Xaden, I know Xaden, you're about to fuck off or something, but if y'all get married right now, like that heir is legitimate. Like you don't know you're pregnant because it's been like literally 3 weeks since Devarelli or something like that. So like she
Makes
wouldn't
sense.
have even started showing symptoms or anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I got a vibe.
Dude, I want to know when Auric actually did manifest his signet because he really didn't tell anybody. He was just like, here's a super cryptic letter at the worst time possible. How long have you been seeing the future, my dude?
I feel like
I think he could see the future when he pulled Violet through the wards in the archives. Like he knew the royal wards weren't going to hurt her. Like because Xaden says something like you better have been sure, 100% sure about that, and he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like I had a good feeling.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, but
Interesting.
actually that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I love all these theories. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're still coming.
The most unexpected part to me was her second signet, but that's because I had put all of my eggs into the basket that she was a truthsayer. I totally convinced myself. And we did a whole episode like talking about what we thought her second signet was. And I was like, surely it's got to be one of the 6 we talked about. And then I was like, a freaking dreamwalker? Like I've never once considered that possibility, but I do think it's really cool. But I was also just like, what?
We were pretty
Second
close
one.
though. So we did think she would be a type of intrinsic,
Ish, yeah.
but we were guessing the wrong type of
type of
intrinsic.
intrinsic, yeah.
But I mean, we were
Yeah.
we were on the right path. Like Maddie was saying earlier, like we had all these theories, and like Rebecca was like, "Yeah, you're kind of close, but it's really this." Like it was so many possibilities. But yeah, I think
That's true.
for me, the most unexpected was having Xaden here, like the whole book. I just like.
Yeah.
Kana and I predicted that he wouldn't be a big part of this book, and he would be like distancing. I can't say this word. Why?
Yes, you can. I believe.
Distancing himself
Yes.
from Violet
I'm dead.
because of all his guilt, like he did with Sigil. So
Yeah.
I was shocked that he was here.
I fear that's going to be book 4. But like once again, I thought he was going to Edward Cullen and like get out of there.
Yeah.
I thought book 3 was going to be like the search for Xaden, and
Yeah.
book 4 might just be the search for Xaden.
Yeah.
Dang.
I also want to know
Man,
how
I wish
much
I
of
didn't have to wait.
Imogen, like how much of Violet's memory Imogen has been taken.
I want to know if Imogen has ever figured out Xaden's second signet by accident and then like deleted her own memories. Not that
That
would
would
even
be
add
crazy.
anything to the plot. I'm just curious if that ever happened.
She's gotta have been erasing someone's memories, but
Definitely.
who and why?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next question. So, what did we think of Xaden and Violet's relationship development through the end of Onyx Storm? I want to go first. I had been predicting that this would lead to their breakup, and I guess they're broken up, but like they're also married, so didn't see that coming. I'm not really super mad about it because I've been saying their relationship is low-key toxic, and I think she needs time and like emotional space, like apart from Xaden, to process like all the emotional trauma she's been going through. Like in her internal monologue, she didn't really get a chance to grieve her mom's death. I think like in the first few chapters she was saying like how much it was weighing on her, and then like through the rest of the book it's just so action packed that like she does not have the time to process it. And she was so focused on saving Xaden, she was just putting everything to the side. So I'm like, honestly, this may not be the worst thing that he's missing, but I will say villain Xaden, jealous Xaden was super hot. But also, I'm not upset about where the relationship ended.
Yeah, me neither. I also don't think their relationship is over. Like, I don't think it's ever been over. I don't think it will be over. Violet's like, yeah, we're broken up. He's a professor and that's against the rules. And Xaden's like, no, we're not. Like,
we're endgame.
We're literally soul bonded. Like, shut the fuck up. We're not broken up. I mean, I feel like they're endgame, no question. Like, they're fucking married and they've been emotionally married since Threshing. Yeah. So, like, it's been an arranged marriage the whole time. But, I mean, Xaden Ryerson, I feel like that man actually has a death wish. Because, like, he felt so unwanted by his mom and his asshole dad, I guess. It sounds like Fen Ryerson was, like, a little bit of a jerk. And literally everyone and everything in his life was, like, suggesting that he should just disappear and fuck off into the shadows and the darkness and like and never show up anywhere ever again. And you're telling me the single tether to his humanity, the invisible string, I say, is his love for Violet.
Yes.
Like, being down bad is the cure, y'all. Like, love is the cure. Like, the answer to the riddle is love. Through love, all is possible. Like, Xaden and Violet are never breaking up. And I feel like, if anything, at the end of this book, like, literally he turned venom and she was like, low-key, that's kind of convenient. I'ma use it. Like,
it's true.
She woke up married to Xaden, and there's no way he married her without her willing consent. So, like, Violet's down for whatever plan this is. They are on the same page, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'll come back together for sure. They're endgame. They gotta be. I just hope they're alive when we reach the end.
Oh, yeah. I think they also have some kind of, like, fated, like, maybe they were dedicated to each other when she was baptized at Dune Land. I feel like there's some kind of plan, like a prophecy, faith-based at work that connects them, like, even outside of their dragons. I think they're just that hot together.
Low-key, they did voice that riddle prophecy thing throughout the book, saying, like, whatever heart beats for her. I don't remember the exact wording, but, like, they low-key already have a prophecy, so I do think that would happen. Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the ending and their relationship. Like, I know they're not going to break up. I know that they're, like, forever together, whatever.
You can also think that. I know I say that with a lot of confidence, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
We're just delusional together.
Yeah, no. I'm like, there's no way Jack Barlow's coming back to life.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm a toxic girlie, and I loved how toxic they were.
You're a Damon Salvatore girl, aren't you?
Yes. This is low-key giving Damon and Elena. Damon would do anything. That's his one, like you said, invisible string to humanity. Literally, like, Damon.
It's her. And her being like, love you, babe. Like, see you when you get back.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm at the core of the earth.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just love their relationship. I love how possessive Xaden is, like, over her. Like, the whole, like, Halden reveal, I was like, what the heck? And, like, his jealousy. I was like, oh, this is I love this, because we got the whole Cat and Xaden beef last book, and so now he got the roles reversed on him. It's just like, that was cool. I liked it.
Yeah,
it was pretty yummy to read.
Yes.
I loved the part Xaden says something where, like, they're fighting, and then, like, Violet, like, strikes lightning, and they, like, get back down, and Riddick's like, hey, just so you know, like, we weren't, like, fucking or anything. Like, that lightning strike was just because we were arguing. And Xaden was like, obviously, because one, like, Violet's mine, and two, it wasn't a big enough strike.
The arrogance of this man is so cute.
Oh my god.
I love when he loses his control for her.
Oh yeah, so does she. So do we all.
Yes.
I just had an idea, you saying, like, about her hair, because now we know her hair has something to do with the prophecy on Dune Land. Fuck, what is it called? Unreal, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a Pokemon. She has that, like, the prophecy there, and that is why her hair is that way, and he's like always specifically been attracted to her hair. So I wonder if there's some kind of like parallel counterpart to that. I don't know.
Okay,
with
I
the
like that a lot. I
maybe
really
she's
love
dedicated to the god of love, and she's dedicated to the god of war,
Yeah.
and all is fair in love and war.
Ooh, and they did say that. They said that in one of the sub chapters. They said war and love can alter a
Stop.
soul irrevocably.
Dude, what?
So it says, while most deities allow temple attendants to choose their timeline of service, only 2 require a lifetime of dedication. Dune and Loyal, however you say that one. For both, war and love change souls irrevocably.
Period.
Oh my god, Maddie, you just did something, girl.
You just did something.
I'm Violet. I look at the facts and I'm like, these are the facts.
To add on to that, Xaden did state that Dune owed him a favor. I think that's how he was able to marry Violet, with so much of his soul being gone. A favor was owed to him because he was telling Sigil, like, "Oh, she owed me a favor."
Wow.
Did we just figure this shit out? Oh my god, I'm actually like geeking out right now. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm
got
obsessed
chills.
with this.
I got chills.
This is great,
Me
girl.
too. Oh my god.
I hope we're not.
Oh, no, you're good. I do love that we're veering into like prophecy territory, and like the gods are major players now, because I feel like that had been building up, but I wasn't really sure if it was going to go there, because we've been talking about how she was connected to Malik, or at least we thought so, and now it looks like we were maybe right. But I do love where the story is heading in terms of like the prophecy timeline and all that. It's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. It's elevating it to like high fantasy. It feels like.
Yes.
I will say, Kana, I thought about you a lot while reading this book, because so many of your theories, I was like, oh, she's on the right track. Because when they were like, Violet was almost dedicated, or she was touched by Dune, I know you were saying you thought she was touched by Malik, and I was like, this is so close to what Kana was thinking, like the connection with the gods. I've like literally made one flag on here for just predictions that we had, and a lot of them were like predictions that you had before we even started the book. And I was like, bro, she was going on the right path for sure.
Oh, thank you. I when I read about Dune, I was like, what? I was like, I thought it was Malik. How did?
But you're
what?
close.
And then later, I was like, okay, I think it's still Malik.
Do you not yearn for Temple? Like,
I'm dead. Okay, let's get into our initial predictions. So, based off of what we just read this week, what do we think is going to happen in books 4 and 5? I do think that we're going to learn more about Andarna's kind and Feathertails and how they relate to the Venin, specifically because Theo, I don't know.
I go with Theophany because it's like,
it's
like Stephanie, but it also sounds like mythological. So I go with Theophany.
Okay. Yeah, Theophany, because she was so intrigued by Andarna and was saying like, you don't know what a prize you have. And I also think Andarna's magic is it's different because they were still able to communicate on like magicless land, and she was still able to wield, and I think that's because of Andarna's magic. It's magic outside of magic, something like that. So I still think that's going to be a major player in how they defeat the Venin. And like we were just talking about, I think that she's also touched by Malik or connected to Malik, and we're going to probably see that in book 4, but I'm not really sure. And then I am also still convinced that Brennan's going to be revealed as a traitor, and that the sage is probably Naolan. I'm still on that boat. So those are my initial predictions. I haven't really thought that much far ahead. I've just been trying to think about what the heck just happened.
Yeah. I think those are definitely all answers we like better get. Like, but at the same time, it's possible we might not even know stuff like until like the very, very end. Like it might be a reveal that way, and that's really scary. Isn't the sage named Berwyn? Like that specific sage is like Jack's sage and Xaden's sage.
Yeah. And that's also the one that has a son who we don't know who it is.
Okay, I have a theory. Let me find... Okay, so I'm like, should we be concerned about Arik being the one who turned at the end? It seems like there's someone else with him, and like Originally, I was like, oh, it's Garrick because he was going to burn out distance wielding back and forth so many times that he's like going to pull from the source. Or it's Bodhi because he does everything Xaden does. And the whole time has been like, I'm coming along. And Xaden's like, no, you're literally the heir to the throne. And I think like it's also possible that Auric precogged that Bodhi was going to turn Venin at the end, therefore would not be suitable for the throne to Tyrandor. Like, therefore, Violet is the backup. Like, Violet's holding the seat for now through marriage.
Okay.
But I think Auric turned because he was flying south at the beginning of the battle, and Xaden's chapter starts with them saying they're in a canyon south of Dratheus. So, like, it's placing them similarly on the map. He is a precog, so he likely knew Xaden was Venin the entire time and, like, never revealed that to anybody, which I think is kind of sus. Not to mention, like, Xaden hates his brothers, like his mom's new family. Auric hates his older brothers. Xaden killed one of Auric's older brothers during threshing, and he's like, oh, I'm supposed to consider this guy a brother now? I'm like, yes, enemies to brothers arc incoming. Like,
enemies to brothers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's what I think because Auric has to rule. He's said, I don't want to rule too many times to not rule.
True. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I feel like I'm sure it's Bodhi. I think that Garrick, because I think we find out at the end that there's missing dragon eggs, and I think that Auric told or went to get them or whatever, and then he has Garrick take them to Umbriel because he can distance wield. And then I was like, okay, well, that leaves Bodhi. But then also, like, where's Auric at? And you're right, he was flying south, so that's suspicious.
Just like
very suspicious of you, Auric.
It's also going to be like book 4 picks up and Auric isn't going to come back around until halfway through the book, and he's just going to be like, hey guys, and we're like, Auric, there you are.
It's like, I'm sorry, I had a lot of tasks because I can see the future.
Yes.
I love how at the end he was just like, I can see the future, I'm just gonna go do all this stuff for you guys and not tell anyone about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So Aelin with him.
My goodness.
My friend Emily helped me come up with that theory, so shouts out Emily.
Nice. Do you have any predictions since you just finished? Or no?
But I got so deep into y'all, so I like my mind is like blank now. I can't think of anything else. Oh my gosh.
Well, I feel like we did talk about predictions kind of along the way too. So.
Yeah. I think that
no, you go.
the sage might be I don't know if he's gonna be Noellen. Noellen or not, but I feel like it's gonna be somebody that we are super familiar with. Because I was texting Kana earlier while I was reading the book, and I was like, dude, like obviously, and this kind of goes along with what you were talking about too earlier, Maddie. Obviously, the Venin are either recruiting writers or like this is a common pattern. A lot of writers are becoming Venin because they're wielding power. So I don't know. Well, remember I was telling you earlier, Kenna, I feel like the original 6 probably never died and they all like went Venin because
I was just about to remind you.
Yeah, I feel like they all went Venin because they don't age.
There's so much talk about immortality and stuff now.
They don't age. So it's like if they are not killed, they don't die. And it's the simple fact that they were supposedly defeated 600 years ago, but they're back. So meaning they might have never even been defeated in the first place. They were just in hiding. So it's like, where were they all these years? And why they choose now to come back?
That would be so wild if we actually got to like meet one of the first 6 in the story, like as a Venin.
What if Theophany was one of the first 6?
I think she was because she was.
What if she was Lyra and she changed her name?
Maybe. So throughout this whole series, they were talking about how like the most powerful 6 hadn't lived together in one generation in centuries, and we know that magic wants a balance. And the reason why we had the Shadow Wielder and we had the Lightning, Lilith Sorengil was to balance the power of those who turned Venin. So I think maybe the first 6 turned Venin, and that's why we have all these powerful sickness that are coming along because they're the balance to the magic. So I don't think that the first 6 are dead. Also, maybe they might be Venin. I don't think that the Venin were ever defeated during the Great War. I think that
I doubt it.
Somebody had to have escaped or went in hiding, and they just thought that they were defeated.
wild. I wonder if there's like someone above, like even the Mavens, that's like the leader of the Venom, who maybe would be like one of the first 6.
Back in the day, that was General Daramore, but
yeah, and we never
like,
know. Well, like I'm assuming he's Venom, but we don't know.
We didn't talk about him at all in Onyx Storm.
Yeah.
And like we literally don't know shit about the Venom. So like,
I was really hoping her dad's research would have more. Like it was very good and got us some answers, but I was hoping it would be more of like a historical too, like talking about whatever leading her to the weapon that defeated the Venom so many years ago. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait another book.
Yeah,
it's fine. Okay, well, now that we have crossed the parapet, gotten to all the good Onyx Storm stuff, we're going to head to the flight field, and we're going to give Maddie a spotlight to tell us about your audiobook.
I forgot about this part. Yay.
Yes, surprise. We have some questions for you. What motivated you to remake the audiobooks for Onyx Storm, and was there any specific aspects of the original audiobook that you wanted to approach differently?
So, yeah, it was less I want to make an audiobook and more I'm gonna force everyone I know to call me Violet and play Fourth Wing with me. Like my brain cannot stop being like, POV, you're Violet Sorengale, and I'm like, guess this is my personality now. I just make it in my free time, chapter by chapter. And I'm obsessed with the graphic audio, and I'm friends with Kaya and Gabriel, who voice Violet and Xaden. Like they're incredible, they're inspiring. Like the last thing I want to do is like come for their gig, because like I want to make Maddie's version like specifically for the fandom. Best of Both Worlds by Hannah Montana is sung by Jack Barlow because he says in the text the words best of both worlds. So I just like had my buddy Ariane, who's voicing Jack. I was like, hey, so for this, can you like sing the Hannah Montana thing and like laugh a little? And he was just like, yeah, now that's in there. So like that's an example. It's more like Star Kid vibes, and it's free. So like every other one you have to like pay for, but I'm just putting it on YouTube. And it's also like the main point of it is it's a proof of concept, basically, because I really, really, really want to work on the Fourth Wing TV show with Moira Wally-Beckett, the showrunner. Oh my gods. I'm like wield me however you see fit. I'm like, I will produce, I will read for any character. I just want an audience with Rebecca Yarros and Moira Wally-Beckett, so I can just be like, hey, I am bringing this world to life because it's the only thing I can do about it. Like, and I feel like I get it. Plus, I've worked in sci-fi and fantasy TV for like almost 10 years now. I have the qualifications, and I'm like nerdy and good enough and like smart enough for it. So if you're building a production, this is from the POV of a fan, and it's almost exactly off the page. So like the adaptation, like I'm trying to like set a bar, I guess.
Yes, dude, I want you to be on that TV show so bad. I've been hearing the casting rumors, but oh my gosh, can they cast you as Violet? Please?
Really?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, please.
I'm obsessed with how you voice her in your audiobooks. Like, it sounds more like Violet to me than even like the dramatized one. But oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It's because I put it into my own words. We just posted chapter 21. I basically like record the whole thing and then like end up rewriting the chapter almost. But like also reading something and listening to it / saying it out loud have like totally different energy. Like when Violet's like in the text, I think she says, how can you do this? Like protect someone whose mother oversaw the wing that captured yours, when she's talking to Liam. And I'm like, that's a mouthful. And yes, it's a true fact and it's exposition, but it's like, that's not how people talk. But like, that's necessary on the page. So like what I ended up changing it to is like, how are you doing this? My mom is responsible for all of that, because it just like brings it into our realm a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that. You did a really good job with that.
Yes.
Thanks, dude. I work really fucking hard on it and no one is paying me. And it's literally just me and then my friends from acting school and Dungeons and Dragons and my like family. So
Dungeons and Dragons.
We've been saying we need to start playing Dungeons and Dragons because I feel like we've hit that level of nerdiness where it's just time.
Yes.
D&D's great. It's just wish fulfillment. It's just fun. It's literally just fun. It has a huge like barrier to entry and can seem really intimidating. It seems like it's hard to get into, but like it's delightful. Y'all would be great at it.
Thanks. I love the fact that, so the first time that I saw your YouTube, I love that it says like you don't get paid for it. And I'm like, that's really cool that you're doing something that you love. Like she's doing it for the fans. I feel like you have like the same common goal as us. Like we just want to build a community on our podcast. We want people to relate to us, and we want to talk about books and be nerds and show people that it's okay to be nerds and that you have a community. And I feel like you do the same thing. You're like, we like this book. Like, listen to this sick ass dramatized audiobook version, Maddie's version, and like we can just hang together and just, have fun, all nerds. It's not wrong.
The comment section is always fun. No, yeah, it's like by a fan/fans. Like everyone in the cast has read the book also, and like is obsessed with it. So it's Rebecca Yaros's story, Maddie's storytelling, and your imagination. You can still see it as whatever you want to see it as. Like the point is passion and celebration. It's a love letter to the series because I truly, like, I can't do anything else. Like I finished Iron Flame and blinked and now it's a year and I'm on Shadows and Starlight podcast. So
yes,
I love that. We're so happy to have you here.
We are.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. Are you kidding? I get to geek around and gab.
That's our thing. We love it. We both ramble about books all the time, and it's just really nice to like create a community.
Big time.
Yes. But our next question is, we would just like to know, can you walk us through the process of you and your friends making the audiobook and the most challenging and rewarding parts of it as well?
Totally. So my process has been evolving the whole time. Like I go through it chapter by chapter. Like I don't have a bank of chapters that I'm like waiting to release. I usually have like 1 to 3 in edit at all times, but like I go in order. So I go through and I read the whole chapter out loud into my mic. I have like a home voiceover studio. So I like lock myself in there, like at the beginning of the day with like some beverages and fruit and stuff. And I hunker down and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to hope I don't get cotton mouth and like into the mic too much. But the first draft is like, I read it straight off the page. And then I listen to it over and over and over and over. Like I put it in my AirPods and like walk around and listen to it. Like when I'm doing dishes, when I'm folding laundry, like when I'm going on a walk, I just like learn it at the most base level. And then I'm like, oh, that's what this scene is about. Like, oh, like, okay, the main takeaways for this are like, all right, I'll break it down into 2 different scenes. And that's what the vibe is going to be. And so like, once I have an idea of the scenes, I go through and I highlight all the lines on my iPad and like highlight different characters' lines. And then I will like screenshot the pages, write some notes, and then send the lines to each character. And they record the lines on their own. I end up transcribing every single chapter, like through the process as it goes. And then the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, okay, this is kind of clunky. This is what we need to switch up. So I'll like rewrite people's lines to make it sound like everyone's all in the same room. Literally, like Zayden is in San Diego and I've never met him in person. I'm in New York City. People are all over the place just like recording on their own and sending me stuff. If I'm lucky, I get to have like friends come over and record. Like Imogen records with me. Liam is like so perfect. And he records here. It's mostly me listening to it, figuring out like what kind of tropes I want to do and like what moments like I want to lean into. Like, okay, what are we meant to be feeling right now? Because Fourth Wing is so good at just like getting your heart rate up. And so instead of describing like, oh, like suddenly like my hair is standing on end and there's this crazy presence and it's a whole paragraph describing like Zayden walking into battle brief, and instead it'll just be like Violet's having a conversation. What is that? Like with like sound effects and stuff. Like Zayden's shadows are a whole character of their own. So I more build the world, and it's more of like you're living in it rather than hearing it read to you or described to you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Or that's the goal.
just explaining your process, the quality of it makes so much sense because I can tell how dedicated you are to it. And like Mackenzie said, you don't make any money from it, and that's so cool that you're this passionate about it and that you like listen to it over and over again and like revise and revise. Like, props to you for putting that much work into it, and it is amazing. So great job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. I just love this series and I love pretending that it's real. So
might as well prolong it as long as possible.
yeah, exactly. And hey, like if you're working on the TV show, if you're working on the Fourth Wing TV show, I know what I'm doing. Like I will help you.
Please
Like,
hire.
Yes,
yeah, like
I
I
vote
want to
for
be on
Maddie.
your squad. Like put me in, coach. Like I will, like I'm on the same team. Like you don't even have to pay me, please.
You should get paid because
I've been making it during my off hours, and I just want to be making it during my on hours.
Yeah.
Because that's literally all I do with my time, pretty much.
That's so cool.
Not to be egotistical, but like I fuck with it.
I think if you put that much time into it, you can be a little egotistical.
Yeah.
Just embrace
really
your
good.
inner Taryn.
It is really good.
Thanks. I feel like if you listen to it, like you can tell that. And I am definitely taking some creative liberties and like making it Maddie's version. But that's because like I don't want it to be like any other audiobook because that already exists and it's great. But like we're making a TV show. Go for it.
Okay, so for the next question, if you were able to do this as a full-time job, would you want to branch out to other series? And what series would those be if you could?
Oh my gosh. I only have brain space and heart space for Fourth Wing right now. Like I've been doing this for 11 and a half months now.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a year to get through the first 20 chapters of Fourth Wing, which is the first half of the first book. So I'm like, I would love to keep doing this for like as long as I can. And I have every intention to keep doing it. Fuck. Oh yeah. If I'm going to do any other book, like it is far off in advance. I'm just trying to finish Fourth Wing so I can get hired on Fourth Wing. But at the same time, if I could do this as a full-time job, that would be the best ever. I think Crescent City would be so fun to do, like a huge undertaking that like you couldn't really do without also doing ACOTAR. Like, have y'all read the entire Mossiverse?
I have.
Okay, yeah. I think Crescent City would be so fun just because it's like kind of similar vibes of like, I don't know, I feel like you could make pop culture references somewhere.
Yeah.
Or like, it's just modern. So like I feel like I can bring it to life actually. I feel like I can make it make sense. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other book series and now I'm like coming up blank for all of them. Obviously, I would want to do Twilight. That'd be so fun. That'd be so fun.
That would be very nostalgic.
So cool. That would be cool.
Sweet.
Nice.
Well, I really hope you do Crescent City because I actually am one of the few people that likes Crescent City more than ACOTAR.
Love Crescent City.
Love it. And I also don't understand why a bunch of people hate the third one, but that's a whole topic for another time. But if you ever do get around to doing that, I think you would be amazing at it. Like you said, you could make a lot more pop culture references. And since you kind of changed the lines, I think that would be perfect. Yeah,
I definitely changed the way the characters like express and most of the time it's like pretty much directly off the page, but I also will add stuff like at the end of like this scene when Xaden and Violet are walking in his like tunnel to the flight field, his like private tunnel. It's chapter 19. The chapter ends because it's like, oh, we're getting near the end of the tunnel. I see the wall. And then Xaden does like a magic thing. Like he won't tell me about where he's been. So whatever. Xaden does the magic thing and now we're outside. She's like, you're not going to tell me like what you've been up to. And he's like, nope. And then I added, what? Cat got your tongue? Ooh. And then he's like, what is that supposed to mean? And then Xaden says, what is that supposed to mean? Which he says earlier in the scene for something else, but I like cut that line. So I have like, oh, what? Cat got your tongue? And he's like, what is that supposed to mean? And she's like, it's an expression. And then he's like, boom, we're outside. And she's like, oh, okay, never mind. Distraction, magic.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
that's so clever.
Little fandom things like that are just fun. Yeah. Every time I'll sneak in little electric spark sound effects, like when Xaden talks sometimes and it like turns her on. The first time he says us, there's like a little zzz, like making the elements talk to each other in like a foreshadowing way. Like anytime Violet's about to do something groundbreaking, you hear thunder in the background. Like,
I like that.
Amber Mavis is about to get executed, and she's like, yeah.
I love those sound effects that come out of your mouth. I love how creative you are with stuff like that. That's really cool. I'm excited. I kind of started at chapter 19 for some reason. I was like, I just want to like start down here, but I'm excited to like go down from chapter 1 and listen to everything all the way through.
Anytime you're like, is that a reference, or like, is that a yes? Like, I did it. Yes, I did it. I did it on purpose, knowing that no one will ever realize. Like, there's so many hidden things like in there. Also, like the sound effect I have when Taryn and Violet are flying in from threshing to the flight field, and the whole crowd is like, "Whoa!" because he like everyone's freaking out because Taryn bonded. The audience sound effect going "Whoa!" is that from that video Super Hot Fire, when they're all like, "Oh!" and that one guy's like, "Oh!"
Oh my god!
I literally just ripped the audio from that and like changed the pitch and added some reverb. And like, if you listen to chapter 15, that is what that sound effect is.
Nice.
I'm going to listen to chapter 15 tonight.
Yes. So it's actually funny because Kana, I know she listens to the Dramatic audio version on Audible all the time, and she's been trying to get me to listen to it. But I've been like, I don't want to spend a whole Audible credit when I already have the regular version. Like, I'm gonna have 2 of the same book. I'm gonna spend a whole credit on it, or I don't have to buy it. So I think that's really cool because I want to go back and literally start from chapter 1 of Fourth Wing and just listen to it on YouTube on your channel. It's perfect.
Yeah, please do. I'm going as fast as I can making them, and I've just got the first half of the first book, but their first kiss is the next chapter. I'm so nervous.
You're like, oh, goodness.
No, I know this is gonna be great. Like, and there's literally zero lip locking happening. This is my trick. You make like lips with your hand.
Oh
my gosh, perfect.
Sound realistic behind the scenes.
Speaking of first kiss, I'm about to veer off the path for just a second. Fourth Wing, like the Empyrean series, is like this undying love, like this just unbreakable bond. Like, so I noticed you were talking about your husband earlier, and Kana's also married, and I just got engaged. So can you tell us a little bit?
Congratulations!
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about y'all's love story?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so I met him the day or the day after I moved to New York.
Okay.
From Charlotte. So we both went to NYU.
Nice.
I went to acting school, he went to business school, and our paths should never have crossed, but I had gone to a different audition for a different acting school like the year before, and I met some girl at that audition. We became Facebook friends, and then we both ended up getting into NYU, and then our parents dropped us off, and she was like, "Hey, I don't know anybody here. Like, do you want to just come over to my dorm?" And I was like, "Sure." So I went over to her dorm, and then this motherfucker with a buzz cut and a Green Lantern tank top just walked in. He's like, "Hey, I'm David. Like, we're throwing a party next door. If you guys want to come, like, we're gonna have like a floor party tonight." And then I was like, "Hey, cool, like, sweet tank top." And he was like, "Yeah, and you look great," because I was dressed up to go to Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I was like heavy eyeliner, fishnet tights, like the whole nine.
Yeah.
And we were just 2 characters. And I was like, "Okay, like, sure, yeah, like, nice tank top." And he's like, "Oh, you know, like, Green Lantern?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm more of a Marvel girl than DC, but like, it's fine." And then we got drunk and hooked up, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Literally like 6 hours later,
Cute.
we crossed paths and we never uncrossed them.
That's
I
cute.
love New York.
How long have you guys
love
been
stories.
together?
We started dating in 2013.
Okay.
And we got married in the summer of 2023. So it'll be 12 years this fall.
Oh my gosh.
so
Congrats. That's
cute.
amazing.
We met as children, but that's my man. David's incredible,
Oh.
and he's so encouraging. Also, like, just nerdy and supportive and down. Like,
Oh.
he's
Has he read the books or listened to the audio?
He listens to my audio, but he it's really sad, guys. He can't read.
I can relate.
I mean, turns out it's really difficult to get men to like do intellectual things. Like,
yeah.
sit down and like actually like let something happen to them. That's also like to on purpose shade my husband, because I'm like, you would love these books. Like, he like loved Percy Jackson back in the day, like, you know, big Harry Potter fan. Like, we all read as kids. And I know he's down for all the fantasy stuff because he plays World of Warcraft. Like he's a gamer. Like he's very much in the like fantasy, sci-fi, nerdy scene. So I'm like, you should read. Reading is good. Like reading is good for everyone, and you would fuck with this story. So like, read it. And he's like, no. He listens to Maddie's version and he loves it. He played Dylan in chapter 1. So he died.
Dylan. That's so cute.
Never forget Dylan.
And he played Tynan too. So he died twice. But yeah, he's fantastic. He does a really, really good job.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so adorable. I can't.
Yes, he's the best.
Okay.
Hi, David. Thanks.
2 more questions for you.
Okay.
Are there any particular scenes from Onyx Storm that you're really looking forward to remaking when you do get around to book 3?
Oh my God. I haven't even thought about that yet. God. I mean, kind of like you were saying, the scene on Hedonus, the wisdom aisle, like just that table scene with everyone just like shading each other and like being like, yes, quite. And then like vomiting blood. Like it's that whole chess game of the table, I feel like would be so fun to act out. Like that would be tons of fun just to like to have all the characters play with each other. Like when I make them, everyone sends me their files and then I like cut them down and I like literally move little files around and I like force my friends to talk to each other as Dane and Imogen. But I feel like having all those characters in that setting of just like the tension and like there's so many fun opportunities for like fun sound effects and like awkwardness with the music. I think that would be a super fun scene to just like fuck around with.
Yeah. That one. Okay, so for the last question, just for our listeners, so YouTube, is that the only place that they can find it?
I'm trying to figure out how to put it on Spotify. That should be coming soon because I'm not making any money off of it and it's not like licensed necessarily. I've tried to go about it, but Rebecca Yaros's publishers haven't emailed me back. It's fine. But like, I just really don't want to like break any rules or get in trouble. And I feel like Spotify, like I literally just don't know what the rules are, but that's next on my agenda. So Spotify soon. And right now it's just on YouTube. YouTube search Fourth Wing Maddie's version. Chapters 1 through 21 are up and still going. And it's a real fun time.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I think that's all we have. So we'll go ahead and close unless there's anything else you wanted to add.
I don't think so. Gay rights.
Yes.
Yay. Trans rights.
Fuck Trump.
Yeah. Fuck
I don't know if I'll put that on the episode yet.
on Elon Musk's internet? Like, yeah. Fuck Donald
They're
Trump.
gonna like put me on a list somewhere.
They're gonna ban us, kind of.
I'm like, if I'm not on a couple government lists, I have failed.
Like, you're right. That's my goal, is to be on every list.
I like that.
Like they should be scared of me.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that because I feel like most people that read fantasy books tend to be liberal because I feel like a lot of the themes in there go against things that are happening with our country. Yeah. But anyways.
Especially the Empyrean series.
I digress.
Especially the Empyrean series.
Yeah.
Big politics.
It's about so much propaganda and stuff.
Yeah. Like, I at least know what it's like to understand what it's like to lose faith in your kingdom, in a land that has a bunch of bullshit trade rules and likes to write their own version of history, but like is also it's a bunch of bullshit. So
I saw a TikTok the other day. It was like, I like to read about fantasy novels, not feel like I'm literally in one. And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, thank you so much, Maddie, for joining us. This was so fun, and who knew we had so much in common?
No, I know, seriously. I'm so glad we're friends now.
We want to have you back on in the future, maybe like when we get ready to cover book 4, or we just want to do like a random Empyrean something.
Hell yeah. I'm literally always down to call in and talk Empyrean. So
I love that.
like hit me up.
Cool. Well, that is a wrap on this Onyx Storm bonus episode, folks. Again, thank you, Maddie, for joining us. And thank you for taking so much of your time to create something for the fandom. And yeah, you guys definitely go check it out. I am definitely going to listen to every single one of the episodes you drop from here on out.
Same.
And yeah, thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We cannot wait to keep talking about Onyx Storm with you guys.
Yes, and join us Thursday, January the 30th for our first Onyx Storm deep dive episode. We will be going over chapters 1 through 11.
Yes, and we are growing a lot in the midst of this really big release, and it would mean a lot to us if you guys would help us capitalize on this. So leave us a review, check out our socials, tell us what you liked, what you didn't. We love having feedback, or if you just want to talk about Onyx Storm or any fantasy book ever, we would love to. So message us. And then make sure to subscribe on YouTube and all major podcast platforms for a freshly baked episode to be delivered to you next week.
Yeah. Only thing I have to say is thank you so much for having me on, and YouTube search Fourth Wing Maddie's version and Rebecca Yarros, Moira, Wally Beckett, Michael B. Jordan. Please DM me.
Yes. Yep. If we want to support Maddie, maybe we can reach out to Becky Yarros, her publishing team, the TV show. Let's get Maddie in here because you know everything Empyrean and you're good at it.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, if you get Moira Wally Beckett's email, let a girl know.
I'll look on Reddit. Maybe I can find it there.
Yeah. You can find everything on Reddit.
Much appreciated.
Yes. All right. Well, bye, friends. We'll see you this Thursday for our first deep dive.